The galaxy had always whispered of Earth as though it were nothing more than a backwater, an unpolished stone in the crown of the stars. A planet wrapped in blue oceans and green forests, primitive in its history, insignificant in its reach. To the elder civilizations, humanity was a species still crawling out of infancy, clutching fire while the stars demanded mastery of suns. The councils of the galactic core never feared Earth. They barely acknowledged it. The humans were allowed into trade networks only as an act of charity, their crude starships escorted like fragile toys among the lanes of interstellar commerce. Their fleets were laughable, scattered, underpowered, and painfully outdated. At least, that was what the galaxy believed. And belief, in the void, was as dangerous as ignorance. It began on the rim, where the Zirith Dominion extended its reach with iron precision. The Dominion's fleets carved across lesser worlds like talons through parchment, enslaving populations and extracting resources with no more concern than a farmer gathering grain. Resistance was always token, crushed under the weight of dreadnoughts that blotted out suns. When whispers came of the Dominion setting its gaze upon Earth, few in the galactic core raised an eyebrow. What could humans do? Their fleets would shatter. Their defenses would crumble. The Dominion would add them to its collection of subjects, and the galaxy would carry on. But deep beneath Earth's oceans, within hollowed mountains, and hidden far in the shadow of asteroids, secrets stirred. Humanity had played its part well. They had allowed themselves to be underestimated. They had let the galaxy laugh at their antiquated cruisers and modest colonies. What no one realized, what no one was permitted to realize, was that Earth had been building something far greater than anyone imagined. The first clash came at Haven's Reach, a small outpost guarding one of Earth's outer colonies. The Dominion arrived in force, 30 warships strong, led by a battlecruiser that dwarfed the human station. The invasion was routine, almost casual. Their commander, Lord Admiral Kravax, broadcast his demands to the human defenders. Surrender your colony, surrender your fleets. Kneel, and you may live. The transmission played across the human command deck. The officers exchanged grim looks. The colony behind them was filled with families, miners, settlers who had never seen war. To resist meant annihilation. To submit meant chains. But then, the order came from Earth itself. Calm, deliberate, undeniable. Hold. And the humans held. The Dominion struck. Plasma lances tore through the void, ripping into the station's shields, melting its armor like wax before a furnace. The colony screamed in terror as enemy ships descended. Humanity's defenders, outdated frigates and a scattering of corvettes, returned fire, but their shots were pinpricks against the Dominion's titans. Admiral Kravax laughed on his bridge. To him, it was no battle. It was theater. And yet, the humans didn't break. One by one, their frigates burned, but not a single vessel fled. Even as fire consumed them, they rammed enemy cruisers, detonating reactors in suicidal bursts that tore holes in the Dominion's formation. Insanity, Kravax muttered. They throw themselves into the fire as if they believe. And then his sensors screamed. The stars behind Haven's Reach flickered as shadows emerged from the void. Massive shapes, silent, cloaked in gravitational veils that fooled even Dominion scans. They had been waiting, watching, as bait. The first human warship revealed itself. It was no fragile frigate. No aging cruiser. It was a colossus, black as midnight, its hull carved with runes of technology unseen by alien eyes. Its sheer size rivaled a Dominion battleship, but its design was unlike anything in the galaxy, sleek, predatory, built not for intimidation but for absolute, merciless efficiency. The ship spoke only once, its voice transmitted across all channels in a tone colder than steel. Engage. The void exploded. What followed was not battle, it was revelation. Beams of light lanced from the human warship, cutting through Dominion shields as though they were paper. Missiles erupted, each one splitting into swarms of microdrones that pierced armor and tore ships apart from within. A second human vessel appeared, then a third, then 5 more, each uncloaking with terrifying silence. The Dominion fleet faltered. 30 ships strong at the beginning, their formation dissolved into chaos as the human titans carved through them. Kravax watched in disbelief as his battlecruisers' shields collapsed in mere seconds under a barrage of weapons that seemed impossible. "This cannot be," he whispered. "Humans do not possess such power." But they did. And they had hidden it. On Earth, in the war chambers buried deep beneath the crust, human leaders stood around a vast holomap. They watched as their ships moved with perfect coordination, every strike calculated, every loss anticipated. These were not desperate gambits. These were rehearsed maneuvers, strategies refined in silence, in secrecy, for decades. The galaxy thought humanity weak because that was what humanity had allowed them to think. While the elder races fought endless wars, squandering their strength, humanity had built. Quietly. Patiently. Relentlessly. And now, when the Dominion came to enslave them, humanity chose its moment to reveal the truth. When the battle ended, the Dominion fleet was gone. Not routed, not scattered, destroyed. Kravax's battlecruiser drifted in ruin, its engines silent, its crew begging for mercy. The humans granted none. One final beam cut through its core, and the void fell silent once more. The colony at Haven's Reach watched in stunned awe. The families, the settlers, the children, all who had prepared themselves for death, now saw salvation written across the stars in the form of Earth's hidden titans. Across the galaxy, the whispers began to change. No longer was Earth a forgotten world. No longer were humans dismissed as children playing at war. Something had shifted. And in the dark halls of the galactic core, the elder races felt the first stirrings of fear. The galaxy did not yet understand what had happened. They only knew this: a power had awakened, one that had hidden in plain sight. Humanity had shown its teeth. And when humanity revealed its true force, the void itself trembled. The news of Haven's Reach traveled faster than light. Not in the literal sense, but in the way rumors ignite across a galaxy hungry for stories of conquest and ruin. Every port, every trading hub, every council chamber buzzed with whispers. They destroyed 30 Dominion warships. With only a handful of vessels, ships no one has ever seen before. They were waiting, as if they knew. For centuries, humanity had been background noise in the great symphony of the stars. Now, their song roared louder than 1,000 drums, and every civilization heard it. The Dominion's defeat sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council, a convocation of elder races that claimed to guard balance across the void. These were beings who had measured power in millennia, who had seen empires rise and collapse like waves upon a shore. They summoned an emergency assembly. In the towering chamber of the council spire, light refracted through crystalline walls, illuminating hundreds of delegates in a swirl of colors and forms, scaled, feathered, crystalline, and gaseous. Each spoke in voices that blended into a cacophony of alarm. "This is impossible," hissed the serpentine ambassador of Thres. Humans were primitives. Their fleets were obsolete. What we saw at Haven's Reach defies every report. Perhaps the Dominion fabricated the story to excuse their defeat, growled a reptilian warlord from New York. But then the council's central dais shimmered, and recordings played. They watched the battle unfold, human titans uncloaking like shadows tearing free of night, their weapons slicing through Dominion dreadnoughts with terrifying precision. They saw Kravax's mighty battlecruiser split apart in silence, its death scream cut short by a beam that carved through its heart. The chamber fell into silence. No one could deny it. The humans had changed. While the galaxy quarreled, Earth prepared. In orbit above the homeworld, the Eidolon fleet assembled. Dozens of massive warships, each one a secret born from decades of hidden labor, drifted like leviathans against the pale glow of the moon. Behind them, the industrial rings hummed with activity, launching fresh hulls into the void, cloaked in veils of plasma and gravity distortion. Inside the command nexus, Admiral Saran Vera, Supreme Commander of Earth's defense, stood before the fleet projection. Her voice was calm, but her eyes carried the fire of centuries. "They underestimated us," she said to her gathered captains. "They believed our silence was weakness. They never saw the forges beneath our oceans, the shipyards buried in asteroid husks, the weapons we swore never to unleash unless we were threatened." Her gaze hardened. "Well, now we are threatened. And the galaxy will finally learn what humanity has built in the shadows." But the galaxy was not idle. The Dominion, humiliated, could not ignore their defeat. Their ruler, the Supreme Sovereign Vale, slammed his claws upon his throne as reports flooded in. His fleets had never suffered such total loss, not against the Council, not against rival empires. To be undone by humans, a species he considered livestock, was unthinkable. "Mobilize the Ardent Armada," he roared to his generals. "Every world they hold, every star they touch, we will burn it clean." Even as the order rang out, however, doubt whispered through the Dominion's war councils. If 30 ships could fall in a single battle, how many more might humanity destroy? How deep did their strength run? And the Dominion were not the only ones asking. In the slums of Jorith Prime, alien traders swapped stories in shadowed bars. "Did you hear? The humans have weapons that can tear suns apart." On the crystalline towers of the Thress homeworld, scholars argued in panic. "If they could hide this from us for decades, what else do they conceal?" Even within the Galactic Council, a chilling phrase passed from voice to voice. "If they are strong enough to defeat the Dominion, are they strong enough to defeat us?" Fear does not move in silence. It spreads like wildfire. And soon, the galaxy was ablaze. Back on Earth, humanity watched the galaxy tremble and made its choice. President Alara Miles addressed the planet from the Citadel spire, her image broadcast across colonies and hidden bases alike. Her voice carried a mixture of sorrow and iron resolve. "For centuries, we played the part the galaxy expected of us. We bowed our heads. We appeared weak. All the while, we built, not for conquest, but for survival. And when the Dominion came, we revealed only a glimpse of what we are capable of." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Make no mistake. This is not the end of war, it is the beginning. The galaxy will test us. Some will fear us, others will try to destroy us. But we are no longer shadows at the edge of the stars. We are humanity. And we will not bow." Across the colonies, cheers erupted. Across the fleets, captains saluted. Across the hidden shipyards, forges burned hotter. In the weeks that followed, humanity revealed more of its hand. New fleets emerged, sleek dreadnoughts that outclassed anything the galaxy had ever built. Stations uncloaked from the depths of gas giants, bristling with weapons. Experimental weapons hummed to life, graviton cannons, void disruptors, weapons designed not merely to defeat enemies, but to terrify them. Still, humanity revealed cautiously. For every ship they showed, 2 remained hidden. For every weapon deployed, more lingered in silence. They knew the galaxy was watching. And they intended to control the narrative. The Dominion launched probing assaults. Small fleets tested the borders of human colonies, hoping to find weakness. Each time, they vanished, destroyed without survivors. Human warships struck with surgical precision, leaving wreckage as warnings. To the galaxy, it seemed as though every attempt to challenge Earth was swallowed whole. In the Galactic Council chamber, unease deepened into dread. "This changes everything," the Thress ambassador whispered. "The humans are no longer a nuisance, they are a variable we cannot predict." "We must unite," urged another delegate. "If the Dominion continues this war, it may awaken a force none of us can control." But beneath their words lay another thought: none dared to speak aloud. If humanity can crush the Dominion, what will stop them from turning on us? In the silence of the void, Admiral Vera stood on the bridge of the HSS Revenant, humanity's flagship. Through the viewport, she watched the stars burn with quiet fury. Her aide approached. "Admiral, the Dominion is mobilizing. Scouts report a fleet of nearly 300 ships heading toward the Helios corridor." Vera nodded slowly. Her voice was calm, almost reverent. "Then it begins. The moment the galaxy will remember forever." She turned to her officers. "Signal the fleet. It is time for humanity to reveal the next piece of our strength." The stars seemed to hold their breath. And across the galaxy, civilizations waited in terror for what would come next. The Dominion's fleet surged through the Helios corridor like a tide of steel and fire. 300 warships, their hulls bristling with cannons, engines roaring with the fury of vengeance. At their center loomed the Leviathan of Kor, a superdreadnought carved from the core of a dead moon, its silhouette blotting out entire constellations. To the Dominion, this was no battle. This was annihilation. They would not merely conquer humanity, they would erase it, scouring Earth's name from the stars. The galaxy watched. In council chambers and taverns, aboard trading vessels and hidden outposts, eyes turned toward Helios. Every species held its breath. Would humanity's victory at Haven's Reach prove a trick of fate, or could they truly stand against the full wrath of a galactic superpower? On the bridge of the HSS Revenant, Admiral Saran Vera studied the oncoming storm. Her officers were silent, their faces lit by the glow of tactical displays. The Dominion armada was vast, unstoppable in its numbers. But humanity had not survived by matching numbers. They had survived by preparing for inevitability. "Status?" she asked. "All fleets ready," came the reply. Eidolon squadrons in position. Gravlances charged. The Umbra array is aligned. Vera's gaze flicked toward the projection of the Dominion Leviathan. It was a monster, the culmination of centuries of conquest. Against it, humanity had never before revealed their ace. Today, they would. She gave the order. "Unveil the fleet." From the shadow of gas giants, from the veil of cloaked stations, from the darkness between stars, they emerged. Dozens of human warships. Then hundreds. Massive dreadnoughts, sleek destroyers, and carriers bristling with strike craft. The void bloomed with ships, wave after wave, until the stars themselves seemed drowned beneath steel. For the first time, the galaxy saw the truth: humanity had not been hiding a fleet. They had been hiding an armada. The Dominion faltered. Their 300 ships, once overwhelming, suddenly looked like prey before a predator long denied its hunt. The battle began with silence. Then, a single pulse. The Umbra array, a weapon hidden on the far edge of the system, fired. Invisible waves tore through the void, collapsing Dominion communications into static. Their formations crumbled in an instant, commanders screaming into dead channels. Then the graviton lances struck. Human warships unleashed beams of compressed spacetime that bent reality itself. Dominion cruisers buckled, twisted, and tore apart under the crushing force, their hulls folding like paper. Admiral Vera raised her hand. "Release the Eidolons." From the carriers poured the strike wings, small, nimble craft, faster and sharper than any Dominion interceptor. Each carried swarm drones, thousands of them, shards of living metal that slashed through enemy shields like knives through silk. The void became fire. Dominion ships exploded one after another, their deaths painting the corridor in light. The Leviathan roared to life, unleashing suns of plasma, obliterating dozens of human frigates. But for every vessel lost, 10 more surged forward, their weapons tearing chunks from its massive frame. On worlds across the galaxy, broadcasts played live. Citizens who had once laughed at Earth now watched in awe and terror. They saw Dominion fleets, once the scourge of civilizations, shattered like glass. They saw human ships maneuver with terrifying precision, every strike coordinated, every sacrifice calculated. They saw weapons the galaxy had no name for, tearing titans apart as though they were toys. Whispers filled the void. They are unstoppable. They planned this for centuries. If they can break the Dominion, none of us are safe. The Leviathan fought on, even as its armor cracked and its weapons burned. Admiral Vera narrowed her eyes. Focus fire. Core breach is inevitable. The Revenant's cannons unleashed their fury, joined by the fire of a dozen dreadnoughts. The Leviathan shuddered, its engines screaming, its weapons sputtering. And then, a blinding explosion tore through its heart. The Dominion's pride, their invincible titan, split apart in silence, consumed by fire. Its wreckage drifted across the corridor, a tombstone for their arrogance. The Dominion fleet broke. Some fought to the death, others fled in panic, their formations scattering into the abyss. Humanity gave no mercy. They pursued, dismantling the armada until nothing remained but wreckage and silence. When it was over, the Helios corridor belonged to Earth. The galaxy had witnessed not a battle, but a revelation. Humanity had shown their full strength, armadas hidden in the shadows, weapons beyond comprehension, strategies sharper than any empire's pride. The Dominion, once feared across the stars, was broken in a single campaign. And the galaxy understood. In the Galactic Council, silence reigned. The delegates who had once mocked Earth now sat in uneasy stillness, their voices stolen by fear. The Thres ambassador finally whispered, "We must acknowledge them." Another delegate, trembling, replied, "Acknowledge? No. We must bow. For if they can destroy the Dominion, they can destroy us all." One by one, the elder races realized the truth. Humanity was no longer a footnote in galactic history. They were the authors now, holding the pen that could rewrite the stars. Back on Earth, Admiral Vera stood before her fleet, her voice steady, her message simple. Today, the galaxy witnessed what we are. We are not prey. We are not weak. We are humanity, builders, survivors, warriors. They will fear us, yes. But fear is not our aim. Survival is. Freedom is. And no empire will ever threaten our children again. Her words echoed across the colonies, across the ships, across the stars. And as the galaxy trembled, as the whispers of fear turned into shouts of awe, one thing became certain. Humanity had risen. And in the end, the galaxy did not laugh. The galaxy did not mock. The galaxy did not resist. The galaxy bowed.